Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Mm, right. Today the number is down. Are they aware, or maybe they'll join later?
Sir, they are aware, but I don't.
Okay. So don't worry, we'll start. We don't have to wait for them. I don't have to penalize those who are early because of some of you are late. So we can start when they come, they join. And I'm sure the recorded version is always made available on the platform for you. Do you guys
Sir,
see it on the platform? Hello. Do you guys see the recorded version on the LMS? Or
no.
you've not checked?
Okay, sir, we've not checked.
Wow. Because the recorded version is always on the levels. I think I created a playlist on the platform, which every week, let me see, every week, if it is edited and uploaded automatically, it gets updated on the playlist. Uh, okay, so you are look at it because there's a playlist on the platform which all the videos as soon as it's uploaded. Okay. Hmm. I guess the playlist have not been embedded on the LMS, so I think I'll try and work on that for you. So that I never knew. Nobody also prompted my attention to it. Nobody prompted my attention to it. Okay, so don't worry, we can start. Then we have 11 of you here, so we can begin. Let me before I start, let me just come to the platform. We are to Bodo. Okay, Bodo 5. Okay, so we are model 5, where we're talking about storage devices and data management. So I have the introduction video here. I noticed that most of you have been watching the introduction video, and I think it's cool. And then that gives you a general overview of that particular model. So if you are part of those who don't watch it, I'll urge you try and watch the introduction video. It's just 5 to 6 minutes. At least the sometimes even watching the video will let you grab majority of the things probably you not even get a chance to even read, and so you guys get those information in the video. Okay. Then there's the book. I'll make the book available after this section. Okay, so I have the book here where I have the introduction. Let me turn the edit mode off. Okay, so I have the introduction. Then I have this. It is in bulletin, so we have the stories which we'll cover. And what I've decided to do is I've decided to try and add videos and pictures to the book. So some of the things that probably, as I always say that there are certain things I may not cover in the slide. You may see it in the book. So that's what I'm trying to do now. So that even if you don't read the book really, then you are going to lose certain informations because the time is limited and I may not be able to cover everything. So some of the things are in the book. So I have the book here where at least I'm trying to add some pictures, some few things that you can relate to while reading. Then also I've tried to embed some videos on some of the topics. Some of the topic because we are not face it's not face to face where sometimes I can draw on the board for you to understand. It will be difficult for me to sometimes do some representation. I may only talk, and sometimes it will be vague in some of your mind. So I've tried to look for videos that probably is explaining that, which at least you can watch. Some are animation, some are real people teaching, and with some diagrams which you can follow. So I have the videos here, which you can always play. They are not big videos, are maybe 5 to 10 minutes. Some are even like 2 minutes, 3 minutes videos. Okay. Then I have how the SATA store. So I will talk about it there, but that's what I'm saying. If we talk about it and probably didn't get it clearly, there are videos on in the book that you can always run to sorry. There are videos in the book you can always run to at least fill in the gap or some of the things you missed. Okay. Then we have the next topic that's optical. We are going to talk about all of them with some pictures. Some of the pictures you find that some of the pictures are also in the slide, but some two are just here, they are not in the slides. Okay, so you just have to just bear with me. So you have to just use both. Then we have cloud storage with a little video. There was one video I wanted to add. That video was very, very nice, but in the way it was coming out, I didn't like it, so I just left it out. So I just have to write it in text for you to read. But I'm sure most of you will also find time to go online and just read more about it. I don't think you only rely on what we teach you. If you're only relying on that, then you are doing the wrong thing. Try and make sure after going through what we've taught you, you can also go online, look for different books, or go online and look for different videos to at least expand your scope and knowledge in that field. Because just bear in mind, don't be surprised if some of the questions uh, I may bring, or not me, your lecturers, some of the questions they may bring in your exams, it may be topics that were not even treated in the classroom, but it's still it's part of the topic. So maybe the course that you are doing, let's say for this particular course, I may bring a topic that probably I may not treat, but it's still in the scope of the course. So if you don't read wide and read other stuffs, you may not have knowledge about those questions. But someone who read wide will get knowledge and probably may answer that question. Okay, so just try and expand your scope. That's why we're given in the program, the course outline, we listed some books that I think you can refer to and at least read on certain things that probably are not covered here. Okay. And that makes IT very, very special. So IT, if you are doing IT, you should just have in mind that you have to try and read wide because things evolve, technology evolves very, very fast and quickly. So the knowledge you have now, in the next 3, 4 days, probably it will be a cake. Another new technology will emerge. So you always have to be on top of the game and make sure you read wide and add extra knowledge to it. Sometimes the knowledge will not apply now, but as you proceed or you do other courses, you can apply those courses, those knowledge there. So just this is an overview of the book, and I'm sure after the section, you may get chance and just go through. Okay. So just let's start today with our topic. So last week we before I start, I just want to I wish the whole class okay, maybe at the end of this section I'll try and say I just have some few tip or some information to share with the class. Um just let me do it because you guys are here. Maybe I may forget. When I was doing my degree in computer science, there was a strategy we used which really helped us. I'm talking about me and my colleagues. And those strategies applies a lot if you are doing IT or you're in the IT world. Now, I know most of you probably may be wondering that you are doing IT and they are bothering you with some courses that you don't know why you are doing them. Am I right? Am I right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's what you feel that you are doing other courses that are you think because you are coming to do IT from day one, you'll be doing graphic designing, you'll be doing, certain things. You'll be doing web designing, you'll be doing certain things, and you know that they are teaching you something that you feel like this is not what I sign up for. Okay. Now, what university does is university is supposed to make you a universal person. That's why the name came in as a university. You should have a universal, you should be universal when it comes to a lot of things. So as I'm here, I do graphic designing, I do web designing, I do programming, I do video editing, I do CCTV installations, I do networking, I do animations, and I do a lot of stuffs. And those things I wasn't taught in class. Majority I wasn't taught in class. That's what I want you to understand. The IT you are doing is for 2 years. is a structured a program. So maybe within a little programming, you may do probably maybe C++ and maybe Java or something. I don't know the 2 years your course outline for the 2 years, all the courses you'll be doing. I don't have that information, but it's structured. So you may finish diploma, or you may finish degree without necessarily knowing certain things in IT, because sometimes you have a semester to do a particular course. And if you use a semester, in case they are teaching you web designing, you can just use a semester. And to tell you the truth, in the semester, you may not have covered a lot. If you are doing programming, you may do console where you write code, run it in console. If you do certain statements, if statements and other stuff, do some functions. But after that, you ask yourself that what that you've learned, how does it apply in the real world? Because you want to finish and make sure you've built a software you can click and other stuff, but you end up doing the back end, the console. So what I'm trying to let you know is that all of you have to go extra mile. The school will give you the basics, and the basics is what's the most important thing. If you get the basic and you understand the fundamental, it's how the languages work, you can build on it. So when we were in school, what we did was we divided ourselves into groups. Are you following? You divide yourself into groups. So we had we divided ourselves into groups in terms of multimedia. We have programming, we have video. Like we divide ourselves into certain things. Those who like hardware, so those specializations were there, and we decided to align ourselves with the field we think we want to find ourselves in. Now, what we did was those who decided to go into graphic designing and probably video editing, it was their duty to learn and teach the whole class. Make sure they become master in that field and teach the whole class. Those who decided to go into programming, it was their responsibility to learn programming very well and teach the whole class. And those who decided to go into hardware and networking, it was their responsibility to learn, master that field and teach the whole class. So we have which was a mainstream though. So we had a lot of time. But you people are distant. So the only time you'll be have is evening, because you only meet in weekend. So you have to try and put yourself in those groups, because we may have people in our class who probably are already experts in certain fields who they can lead those particular teams. They learn, then you schedule a time, maybe Monday evening from 9 to 10. The graphic designers people will come online and teach the whole class graphic designing. Tuesday, maybe from 9 to 10, those who are into programming or web designing will come and teach the whole class. And if you guys are able to do this before you complete the 2 years, all of you are going to be master of all. And that is the best, because when you become to have knowledge in all of them, that's where you can now branch and know that this one I can do, this one I can do, this one. And you get vast knowledge, and you have knowledge in a lot of things when it comes to IT. And when it comes to competing with your colleagues there, you get the upper hand. Are you guys following?
Yes, sir.
So this is just something that it came to my mind this dawn, and I decided to share with you guys. So try and work on that, because IT is very broad. If you don't do that, you may know just something little, whilst a lot of people there will be ahead of you. Okay, so that's it. Let's start.
Hello, sir.
Yes, boss.
Yeah. Sorry for interrupting. Good morning,
Your
sir.
money, sir.
Yeah, this is Richmond.
Okay,
Um,
Richard.
but I'm very happy for what you have just even told us, and it is very important because I will say I've experienced I did some, let me say, late IT when I was in Kofodia, and what I went through, like you said, it is most of the thing I'm doing today is my colleagues who taught me, especially using of Photoshop. A colleague
Okay.
who taught us how to use Photoshop, and today I'm making a lot of little money out of graphic design using Photoshop. So I'm happy that you have come out with this. And since we are distance students, as you said, we can do that and use some of our evening periods to do this. And I'm also want to find out that, say, if you can you also have, let's say, extra, yes, because when we are being in schools and normally we have what we call extra classes. If there's other area that you think you can also have a time for us, some of us want to join, you can also join so that we can learn, like you mentioned about photo editing and other stuff. Yes, if you can also introduce some of, let's say, extra period for certain topics or other things that some of us we want to join, yes, we will pay and join. So please, I'll be also glad if you can also have extra classes for other things for us, and so that those of us who are interested, we can join. And so thank you. That's what I want to also add.
All
Thank
right. All right. So points noted. So I think that one we'll discuss with the course rep maybe later. Then we'll look at that. Okay.
you.
All right. So I'm glad you guys have taken one. So those who join late, you can just let them know that they missed a little information. Okay. So let's start. All right. So last week, Alex, we examined how data is processed within the computer system using the central processing unit and memory. Okay, but however, we concluded that just the CPU and the primary memory is not enough because, especially when we talk about the RAM, they are volatile and they don't keep data permanently. Okay. Also, we also concluded that the size in which they store data is limited, and we concluded that there is a need for you to have storage devices where you can store things permanently and you can always access it when the time needs. I think that's what we did last week. Okay. We spoke about a little few things. Okay. Now, I think last week we also concluded that storage devices is it plays a very critical role when we come to computing because all documents, all software, all applications, files are stored on what? The storage devices, even though it is run on the RAM. It will be on the storage devices, and when you give an instruction, it it is run on the RAM. And I made you understand that even the operating system itself is run on the memory. That's why when your memory, your RAM is very low, your operating system becomes very slow. Even though the files are on the storage devices, but as soon as you boot the machine, everything comes to the RAM. Okay. So this week we'll be looking at what the storage devices and data management, and that's what we'll be tackling today. So we'll be we'll be delving deep into focusing on just the storage and data management, and we'll look at different types of storage devices, including the hardware and solid state hard drive. Then we'll look at other storage devices like the optical media, that's the CD-ROMs. Then we look at the removable storage devices. So we have removable ones too, which we can look at. Then I think later we'll look at cloud storage. Because storage, we are just looking at, so you have to try and cover at least all the angles of storage. We'll look at cloud storage, and as now is as we are in the modern era, it's one of the ways which a lot of people store stuffs. Okay. Then after that, then we'll look at, I think today it's divided into a lot of steps. I'll see if I can finish everything. If I'm not able to finish, I'm sure you can just read and just follow. In case there's any question, we'll read the next time, then we continue. Okay. So we'll look at we'll examine how data are organized on the storage devices, then probably the type of file systems and other stuff. Okay. Just you have to understand that even though we store information on the storage devices, they are supposed to be organized properly. Because if they are not organized properly, accessing or retrieving information from the hard drive will become very, very difficult, and it will make the machine runs very, very slow. And that's the reason why sometimes some of our machines runs very, very, very slow. Okay. So basically that's what we'll be looking at today. Okay. Now when we talk about storage, secondary storage devices, I think the last time we talked about the primary, which is the RAM and the ROM. When we talk about the secondary storage devices, we are trying to refer to the non-volatile storage device that retain data even when computer is powered off. So anything that retain data when the power of the computer is off is a storage secondary storage device. So we look at the hard drive as part. You can have a CD where you can have data or songs on it. If the computer is off, the information is still static, it's still there. We can have flash drives, pen drive, memory cards, and we'll look at all of them as we proceed. So that's the devices are used to what? Keeping one data for a long term. Okay, so those are the secondary devices. So as we said, when we come to the RAM, the primary memory, they are volatile. So they don't keep things for very long. Okay. So when we come to this modern era, secondary storage devices are very, very, very essential because all of us will want to keep data permanently so that we can always go back to it when we need them. Now, secondary devices, um, one of the most secondary devices, storage devices that we use today are the hard drive, which we already know. We have the hard drive and we have solid state drives. So there are two types of the hard drive which we use most commonly use. So all our laptops, if it doesn't have a hard drive and the regular hard drive, then it has what the solid state hard drive. So the hard drive, in short, we usually do it HDD. So when you see HDD, we are talking about what? The hard drive. The hard drive we already know. Then when you see SDD, we are talking about solid state hard drive. So we'll look at them, their part, how they look like, then their characteristics. Okay. So as we all know, the secondary storage device is non-volatile, which retain information. Then as it houses all the operating systems, all the files that we work on are usually stored on it. And usually it has a what higher capacity and it's very low. I think the last time we did a triangle where as we descend, we are getting storage that is it has higher capacity, but it's rather less expensive. And when you are climbing up, it has lower capacity size capacity, but very expensive. So the storage devices can be of different sizes and they are not much affordable compared to the RAM. The RAM that is usually very small but very, very expensive. Okay. So that's it for it. So let's go to the hard drive. So hard drive is commonly referred to as HDD, as I said earlier, and it is one of the traditional ways in which um, data is being stored. So it has been with us since. We used to have the ID hard drive. So we have ID hard drive, but these days they are not in the system. Okay. So if it's not in the slide, at least you have to know that we have ID hard drive, then we have the SATA hard drive. Now the SATA is small. The ID use cable, it has a cable that looks like a brush, which you connect it to the motherboard and you can access it. But usually the ID's hard drive, their sizes are not that huge. Usually 40 gig, 20 gig. You know, those days when we were running those SPs and those old machines, that the maximum hard drive you can get be 80 gig. Those were the ID. 80, I think the maximum I've seen is I think 200 gig or so, 2 something gig. They are not that big. But the SATA goes into the teras. Okay, you can have the 5 tera, 12 tera, 20 tera, and the rest. Okay. So currently the ID hard drive are leaving the system. We don't even see it these days. It's the SATA hard drive that all the machines or all the modern computers we are running is having. Okay. So usually the hard drive we have, if you open it, you are going. I'm talking about the normal HDD hard drive. It has a plate inside, and that's what with the plate you have. It's data. It uses magnetic technology to store data on the plate. So anything you store on your machine, it is stored on the plate, and the plate revolves all the time. So we have different revolution when we come to the different types of hard drive. We'll look at it. So it has what a plate on it, and the way in which the hard drive access information is just like in the olden days. I think most of you are old. I've seen the olden days. Our fathers used to have this tape that have this big CD plate on top. A big CD plate. So if you want to play track one, it has a particular arm. You put it on some place on the plate, and they start playing music. When you push the arm to another place, you go to track two. How many of you have seen that old sound system before? How many of you have seen some before? The
Yeah,
Gen Zs, the
I've
Gen
seen
Zs, I
some
don't think
before.
they've not seen some. They've seen some before. But those of us who were born before Gen Zs, at least we saw it. It's very usually it will be on top of the sound system where you can change. So that's the way the hard drive works. That's the same technology that was used. Um, okay, Selena, your hand is up. Is it you have a question or you want to let us know that you've seen that before? Selena, okay. So that is how the hard drive works. So the hard drive, we'll look at the parts in the next slide. But the hard drive has what? The plate, which I'm just showing you. That's the one that revolves. Then it has a spindle. Okay. So the spindle, we look at the part you see. So the spindle which rotates the plate at a very high speed. So the spindle is in the middle here. The middle here, we have the spindle. Okay, so we have the spindle here. Okay. My mouse is not working well. Okay. Then we have the read and write head. So this is the read and write head. So it's somewhere here. Oh, my mouse is not working well. Okay. Then this is the arm. We call all this the arm. And when you go to the part, you see it. We call this the arm. Let me erase what I'm doing. The mouse is not working well. Sorry. Okay. So we have the arm. That's the accumulator arm. This thing is still there. Okay. And then what the arm does is it moves it moves across the plate from one point to the other to either read data or write data. It doesn't just read. Okay, so what it does is it goes to a particular to read the data or probably write a data or update a data. You understand? So that's what the hard drive does. And it has a lot of, it's not only just one plate in the hard drive, it has different plates. Some have like 3, 4, 5 plates, and they all revolve while the computer is not on. Now, the plate revolves usually the current speed most hard drive has to have is it revolves either 5,400, we call it RPM. So hard drives revolves it is measured in what we call revolution per minute. Okay, so every minute it revolves. We have the 5,400 RPM, then we have the 7,200 RPMs. So basically, that's the speed in which most current hard drive revolves in. Even though we have certain hard drive that runs at a higher speed, like 10,000 to 15,000, but those ones are for specialized computers. Okay, but the one that we have, the general one that we have, runs between 5,400. We have the 5,400 RPM. I have a hard drive here. I want to see if the speed is indicated. Okay, so we have the 500 RPM, 5,400 RPMs, then we have 7,200. So what it means is that at every minute, that's what it means. At every minute, the plate revolves 5,400 times. Can you imagine it? And the one that is the 7,200, it means every minute. That's how it revolves. Okay, it revolves in that particular time. So when you look at our next slide, we have over here. So we have what 5,400 and 7,200 RPM. Okay, so this is the part that I was talking about. So we have the plate or the platters. Okay, over here. Then we have the spindle in the middle. Then we have the arm. Then we have a control board. Usually there is a board under it which we call the control board. And we have the track sectors. Okay, so those are the parts of the hard drive. When you go into the book, I think certain books expand and break down majority of the parts, but this is just basically the basic part. So when the book I've placed two pictures, one giving just the basic parts and one giving detailed parts where it talks about everything. So that's a lot of parts which you can look at them. But this is basically the common or the most parts that we usually work with. Okay. But you can go extra mile and learn the other parts. So how does the hard drive works? So someone will say, okay, how does it work? So the data is stored on what? The plate, which I said earlier on, in a concentric circle. So when it's going, it just stores in a concentric circle, known as what? Track. So when a data is stored, so we call it a track. So there's just as if when we go to a stadium, we have a track that goes around the stadium where athletes run through. So the plates also have that same thing. So data is stored in that thing, and we call it what? A track. So each track is also divided into smaller units, which we call sectors. So even though there is one a track, we have sectors in it. So there's a video that I've posted in the book, which actually has explained everything in details with graphicals, which you can understand very well. So I just want you to know that each track is also divided into subunits, which we call what sectors. Then these sectors represent what the smallest unit in which data is stored on the desk. So data is stored on each sector, each sector, each sector. So one track can have multiple sectors, which data are stored on each of them. So when a data is written onto the plate or the plates, okay, or the decks, to read it, then there will be the need for the arm to move toward that particular area where what the data is stored in order to read it from the plate. And that is how the hard drive works, and that's how what the system stores data and retrieves data. So when you want to store something, it checks on the plate where there is free space, then it stores it there. When there is no free space, it moves to the next one. Unless you are going to update a particular data which is stored in a particular sector, then it goes to that particular, then you update it. So it deletes it and rewrite another one there. So that's it. But the system continues spinning and spinning. So basically, that is how the regular hard drive, we know that's how it stores data. So when we come to the hard drive, regular hard drive, it has its advantages. Okay, so some of the advantages of this HDD that we all know is that it usually provides what large storages with relatively low cost. So it's not that expensive. Even though it's expensive, but if you compare it to the others, it's not that expensive. Okay, so that's why you can have some people have 5 terabytes, some people are running 3 terabyte, they have external hard drive with 5 terabyte, 10 terabyte, and the rest. Okay, because it's not that expensive compared to dealing with what the RAM. Then it's also suitable for storing what large files such as videos and databases. So you can store them on it. You can't do that on the RAM. Okay. Then it is widely available and compatible with most systems. So that's why it is used. We have some TVs that even have a slot where you can put hard drive in it. I saw a TV that you can put hard drive and load movies inside in the CD in the TV where you can watch movies all the time. We have some sound systems. Recently, my uncle went to buy some sound system from the roadside, and then the sound system have hard drive already in it. Some small songs, there is just hard drive already in it, and there were songs in it. So you can just remove the hard drive because we didn't get the connector to connect to a computer. So we were able to remove the hard drive, connect it externally, delete all the songs, then update it with our own song, put it back into the sound system, and we keep on playing music. So it is suitable for majority. It's not just computers. You can put it in compatible with a lot of devices. Okay. So despite these advantages, it also have disadvantages. So some of the disadvantages when we come to the HDD is that it is slower when you are comparing it to the modern types of storage now, like the solid state and the other stuff. The HDD is a little slower. Okay, it's not that slow, but it's a little slower when you are comparing to that. And it contains moving because it is somehow mechanical. So it has parts which has been joined together. Okay. So because it is mechanical and it has some moving parts, sometimes it experiences mechanical wear, whereby it can have issues. And then sometimes some of you have a hard drive, you realize the hard drive will be spinning and it's making noise. Then we hear ke in them. So it can just have a mechanical issue and your hard drive will be damaged. You can't do anything about it. Okay. So because they have a lot of parts that are moving in that, as far as it keeps on rotating, some parts may end up getting damaged and it can cause it. So that's one of the disadvantage of it. And also it's also susceptible to what? Physical damage in case of it fell down. It can someone will tell my hard drive fell down, the hard drive is crashed, it fell down, or vibration, certain vibration, you shake it or something vibrated. Sometimes it can even be in the machine you are using before you realize you off your machine, you on it again, and they tell your hard drive has crashed because probably it experienced certain vibration. Okay, so those are some of the disadvantage or limitation of the HDD, and also it consumes power compared to the other ones. Okay, its power consumption is a little higher compared to the other one. So basically, that's for HDD. How its data is stored, the advantages, the disadvantages. Okay. Now let's go to the solid state hard drive SSD. So in short, SSD. Okay. So solid state hard drive is one of the modern ways in which computer system stores data. So it's instead of with a solid state, it doesn't have moving parts just like the hard drive where you have plate that is spinning. It uses chips. Okay, so they have chips embedded in them where you can all the data are stored in them. Okay, so it consists of what flash memory chips. So it has a lot of chips, right? So nothing is moving. So we have the chips on them. Then it's also have a controller which manages data operations. We'll look at the path. Then it's also have an interface that interface. So the interface that interacts with the PC. So there is a slot where you have to probably set it on the motherboard in order. So that's the interface. So the interface is where you do the connection. This side is the interface where you connect it to the the computer system. Okay. So that's it for the flash for the SSD. Okay. So we have how the SSD also store data. So the SSD also store data. So the SSD uses a type of memory known as NAND to store data. So we have the NAND, so flash memory data utilizes NAND flash memory cells instead of magnetic platters. So the ADD uses the magnetic platters, and this one uses what we call the NAND flash memory to store data. So data is stored in memory cells that retain what? Electrical charges, even when the power is off. So it uses that, as I was saying, it has a chips in which the data are stored on them. So this one it's easier and faster because you don't need to spin before accessing any data on it. You just go to the point where the data is, then you retrieve it. That's why solid state um, um, hard drives or storage data hard drives are much faster than the HDD. Okay. So when we come to the next slide, which this was the structure of it. So we have what the storage state, we have the flash memory. Okay. We have the flash memory. We have another type that is we have the M2, which is very slim. They also have the same part. So the M2 usually works with most of the Mac Apple products uses the M2. We have certain normal desktop also uses the M2. But basically, this is how majority of the SSD looks like. Okay, so most of them they have what the flash memory. Then there's a controller on top which controls. Then we have what the cache. Then we have what the the how do you call it? The interface. Okay, so this one didn't indicate the interface. So the interface is just the down here, the one where you connect to the devices. Okay, so basically that is right. So solid state hard drive has advantages, just as the regular HD also have advantages, and it also have its own disadvantages. So anything that has advantage. So when we come to the solid state hard drive, okay. So one of the advantages of it is that it provides faster data access speed compared to the HDD. Then it have no moving parts, so it doesn't nothing moves. As I said, there's no place that is moving, there's no that is moving. So it makes it much durable because everything is static there. You just go then you retrieve your information. Okay. And it's also consume less power. Okay. As I said, and it also operates in silence. You don't hear anything. But the HDD, you hear when the machine starts, you hear spinning, something spinning. Those of you who have ADD as external hard drive, so that when you connect to your computer, you have to make sure you put your hand on it, see that it's spinning before you see that it's working. Especially when you connect it, you don't see anything. When you see that it's spinning, then you are okay that it's working. But the solid state, nothing spins. You connect, you connect. Okay. So you don't hear any noise. Sincerely, some ADD can make wild noise. You hear some strange noise coming from them. And when you hear the noise, then it means they're about to get damaged. You have to try and back up your test and get a replacement. So that's one of the advantages. So these are the few advantages of the solid state hard drive. And it also has some disadvantages or limitations. Okay. So when we come to the disadvantages, it's usually expensive, far expensive compared to what? The HDD. So you can have maybe a normal HDD hard drive, 1 terabyte, costing like, let's say, 300 cedis. Okay, 300, 350 cedis. And the same hard drive, 1 terabyte, solid state can cost you 1,000 too. You see the gap? The gap is very huge. It's very, very expensive compared to the regular hard drive. So that's why sometimes laptops running solid state hard drives becomes more expensive. Okay, so then the hard drive becomes more expensive. And that's the reason why these days most of the laptops running solid state, the highest you see when you are buying the most one is 256, 256 gig, 256 gig, 25, because the higher the storage space, the more expensive the machine becomes. Okay, so if you see someone's buying a solid state hard drive, 1 terabyte hard drive, then you should know that you are going to pay a lot of zeros compared to someone buying 256 solid state laptop. Okay, like 256 gig solid state laptop. So that's it. Because of the solid state is very, 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 very expensive. So that's one of the limitations of it. Okay. Right. Now, when we come to comparing what the ADD, there are lots of limitations, though. I just spoke about one. I think the book has the other limitations. So when you read, you get them. Then when we come to what ADD versus SDD, so you compare both. So we have what when you come to the mechanism for the HDD, it uses what magnetic platters or platers, depending on how you call it. Some people call it platters, some people call it platers. Okay. So it has the magnetic one, while the solid state uses the non-flash chip, which I mentioned earlier. When we come to speed, the solid state is much faster, okay, compared to the HDD. And when we come to cost, it's less expensive. Okay, the HDD is less expensive, but you can have massive capacity, while the solid state is much expensive, but the usually the size is not that extremely huge. Okay. Then we have the vulnerability where the solid state is much durable compared to what the HDD. So basically, this is for the main storage space. Well, that's hard drive and the HDD and the SSD. If I say hard drive, I'm talking about both. I just have to try and do the differentiation. So we're talking about ADD and SSD. Basically, these are what their differences and how their characteristics, how they look like, and how they store data. Okay. Any questions so far? Any question? Okay. So let's move to the next. But one thing I also want to note is that okay, maybe when we get to cloud, I may bring it out. When we get to cloud, usually okay, let me bring it out. Most of the time for cloud storage, most servers uses the HDD more compared to the SSD because of you know how cost it is expensive. So most cloud storage hard drives that they use are more of what HDD because you don't access it often. It's something that is there as a backup. You always access when you need it. So they don't use, even though some have a little SSD, that's for maybe a client, if the client needs that particular service. And you realize that it will be very, very expensive when the client needs the SSD space. It will be expensive and you usually get smaller space. I don't know any of you are into website development, but if you're into website development, you notice that sometimes when you are buying server space to host your website, you notice that the prices are different, especially when you come to the storage, the SSD. You can have unlimited. They'll tell you unlimited data. If they tell unlimited storage, then they are dealing with you with HDD. But when we come to SSD, usually they give you 20 gig storage, 50 gig storage, and one gig, 100 gig storage, which you can use SSD. And you notice that it's expensive. Even though if you compare the 50 gig storage space and you compare it to the unlimited, you realize that why is this expensive? This is because you are going for what the SSD storage space. That's why it's very, very expensive. So I think maybe when we get to the cloud, I may bring that one up again. Now let's go to the next section where we're talking about the general storage now, the actual storage. Then we have the optical and removable storage. They are all storage, okay, but they are into groups. So we talk about the most common one. Then we are going to talk about the optical and what's removable storage. So the optical, when we come to optical, we are talking about using the CDs, the DVDs, the Blu-ray discs. Okay. So optical storage devices uses what? Laser technology. So they use the laser technology. That's the technology they use to read and write data on specially designed disk. Not all disks. They have special designed disks which they use. So this disks are coated with what reflective materials that allows a laser beam to detect and interpret data stored on them. So the most common types of optical storage we have the CD, which we know as what compact disc. We all know compact disc. And usually the CDs have a majority. The size is usually 700 megabytes MB. Okay, and it was widely used then before the USB came into system, and now people don't even use CD anymore. Okay, there are some people at the moment they don't have CD. They don't have CD in their house. They don't know where there's CD. Even in our cars these days, nobody even plays CD. So sometimes if I'm in town and I'm in traffic and I see those who are selling CD in traffic, I sometimes wonder that, wow, these people are they not moving with technology or what? Because they'll come and they'll come and stop and they are selling CDs to you as a driver to buy and play in your car. In this era, how many cars even use CD? So sometimes I just look at them and I wonder, these people, like, what kind of business is it that they are trying to be busy and to show the world that they are working or what? Okay, because CD is no longer there. We don't use it. Previously, we store operating system and softwares on CD, especially Windows. We already have Windows on CD for booting and formatting and other stuff. But now everything is done on USB, and we don't need CD for anything again. Okay, there are only special cases that probably you may need certain CDs. And even most of the computers or laptops that are now we have don't even have CD-ROM. There's no CD-ROM. So even you have CD and you don't even know how to even use it. You have to go and get an external CD-ROM before you can even access the data on it. So we have the CD, then we have the DVD. The DVD stands for digital versatile disc. So if you don't know what DVD stands for, it stands for digital versatile disc, so DVD. And most of them are what? 4.7 gig. There are some DVDs that have double the size of this. So they uses double storage technology. So you can have, I think, you get 9 point something. I've seen that before. And those DVDs are those DVDs that, in the past, you can go and buy a Chinese movie, 100 in one or 80 in one. You buy one DVD disc, and there are plenty movies, part one, part two, part three, up to I hope all of you remember those days.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so they don't use the 4.7 gig. They use the one that is times through the 4.7 gig on them. So then we have the Blu-ray DVD or Blu-ray discs, which some of you have also seen it before. Some of you have seen it before. So the Blu-ray disc is usually used by gamers, and that one has like 25 points, 25 gig and plus more. Some are even larger than 25 gig. So those who probably are into gaming, PS4, PS5, and some of the uh, modern games. Sometimes you need the games are installed are on the Blu-ray disc, and you can just insert it and either run it or copy it onto the storage of the game and that stuff. So the Blu-ray discs are usually commonly used for what in gaming or keeping large archives and data. Okay. Now for a Blu-ray disc, so even though we have CD and DVD and Blu-ray, it's not necessary that you can just insert CD into any disc. If you are using a Blu-ray, which means the CD-ROM you are using should support a Blu-ray. Okay. If you insert a Blu-ray CD into a regular DVD CD-ROM, it will not recognize it. Just keep that in mind. If that's the same way, if you insert a DVD CD into a regular CD-ROM, it will not recognize it. So if you are using a CD, you have to make sure the CD-ROM you are inserting the CD in is a CD-ROM that recognizes CD. That's the same apply for DVD, and that's the same apply for Blu-ray. Even the CD and the DVD, we have types. The DVD and the Blu-ray, we have types. So even though it's just CD, they come CD or DVD or Blu-ray, they come in different types. Okay. So we have what? Recordable CD or recordable DVD. Okay. And we have read only. So we have the read only CD, DVD, or Blu-ray. So when we say read only, okay, what it means is that the files that are on it has been done already and you can only read it. So you go and you buy a CD, maybe a movie, which already there's a movie on it. It's a read only CD or DVD you've bought. So you can only read the information on it. Then we have recordable CD. Let's say we have recordable DVD and we have recordable Blu-rays. So those ones, they allow users to write data on them. And you can do that once. As soon as you do, so sometimes, we can buy empty, that's why sometimes we call it empty CD. Empty CD, empty CD. So you go and buy a CD or DVD, which is empty, blank. They've done plus R, okay, on it. They've done recordable. So it's empty. Once you record something on it, it becomes permanent. You can't erase it again. And that is what we call the recordable CD or recordable DVD or recordable Blu-ray. You cannot record on it. And for you to record on it, which means your CD-ROM or CD drive should be a recordable CD drive. If it's not that, it can't do the recording. I hope you are following.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. Then we have what the rewritable. The trade two, we have what rewritable CD. So the rewritable ones, it means you can write on it, erase it, and rewrite again and erase it. So it works like just a pen drive that you write, you copy something, you format it, you can copy another thing, format it. So we have the rewritable for all these versions where you can rewrite, delete, rewrite another thing on it, delete, right? So that's one of the characteristics of some of the DVDs. See, you need to know. Okay. Now, even though we have the CDs and optical, they also have their own advantages. So everything has an advantage and that's what it is advantages. So when we come to the optical CD, the storage, okay, some of the advantages of them is that they are relatively inexpensive. So they are not expensive. You can just go buy them. They are not, even the Blu-ray itself is not expensive. Blu-ray is the one that is a little expensive, but the other ones, but even that one is not even expensive like that. Okay. Then they are portable and you can move it around. They are very, very portable. Then you can also use it to provide what physical backup. So you can just do some backup on it, put it somewhere safe. Okay. And also they are resistant to magnetic interference. So with this one, it's better. It's good. I saw this point. When it comes to the HDD, not the SSD, the HDD, if you take it close to a magnet, the magnet can damage the hard drive, the HDD hard drive. If you take it close to a magnet, because there are a lot of mechanical in them in it, it can damage it. Okay. But this one, you can put a magnet on it and it will not even do it. It will not do anything to it. So despite its advantages, it also have disadvantages or limitations. Okay. One of the most limitations of this is that it scratches. If you don't handle it well and it fell or something scratch on top of it, that's it. You are going to lose information. It may not even work again, and it can easily break and it's not durable. So that's one of some of the disadvantages of this optical storage. Okay. There are more disadvantages that you see in the book, but basically this is one of the most what common disadvantage of them. Okay. So we are done with optical. Now let's move towards removable storage. So removable storage, talk about removable storage or storage devices. Okay. We are talking about storage devices that you can connect to a computer system and remove it. You can just connect and remove, and it doesn't affect the system in any way because basically uh, you are just using it for transfer information or store information. Most important files are not there for the system to work, are not on it. Okay. So that's basically for the removable storage. So we have flash drives, they are removable. So pen drives, we plug, you copy, which or we already know we're using it. Then we have external hard drives. So you have hard drive which you can do it external, which you can connect. So the external hard drive too can be in the form of either HDD or SATA, depending on the hard drive you have in it. Some are already sold, you can buy, and you can also equally build one. You can buy a case and it says, so I have a one here which I built myself. Okay. And also keep in mind that when we are talking about the storage in terms of the hard drive, we are not talking about just the smaller hard drive that you have in laptops. We have bigger hard drives. That's the 2.5 inches hard drive, which we have on in most desktops. So they have the same thing. So when I'm talking about IDE and SATA, I'm referring to either both the smaller hard drives and the bigger hard drives. So if you're only picturing the smaller ones, because of the pictures we are showing, just go beyond that it also applies to the bigger hard drives too. So the bigger hard drives, you can also connect some external, which you can use. Then we have portable SSD. So this is example of the portable SSD, which you can also use externally. So that one is a little smaller, different from the normal external hard drive we know. And that one also is faster because it's running on SSD compared to the external AD we have. Then we have what? The memory cards. So we have memory cards, we have the micro, we have a lot of them. Okay. We have a lot of them, which you know. We have bigger ones for cameras and even some computers, some laptops also have it. You can just insert it so that you get more space on it. So when we come to flash drive, which I know you already know, you know the 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 features of it. It's compact and it's lightweight in design. It's easy, it's fast and transfers. You can move it around. Okay. Then we come to the external hard drive, to which we know we can use to back up um, media, videos, and the rest. Okay. So that's so then we have the memory card. So the memory cards too, we have the normal SD card, which is bigger. Then we have the micro. We have different types. I think I have a picture on it on the book. Different types and their type and probably little characteristics of them. Okay. And I know most of you have already seen this memory cards a lot already. It's just that I was not able to capture everything in the slide. Okay. Then we have the portable one. So the importance of removable. So we have the removable importance of it, or let's say some of the advantages of them. Okay. So removable storage usually helps what? in transferring what data between one system to another. You can use it. That's why you can connect it here, copy a file here, then you take it here. Then you can also use it to what to create what backup. Okay, and also you can also use it to share stuffs whilst you are not on the internet. Okay, so that's basically that's one. But using removable data also comes with certain security breaches, which you have to consider because you'll be moving from one computer to another computer or from one device to another device with the device. You have to be careful when we come to what viruses. Okay, so you can end up transferring virus from one device to the other because you are just moving from one point to the other. So those are the things you need to consider as an IT expert when you are dealing with some of these devices. Okay, and also sometimes some of the devices and some of the informations may be encrypted in terms of in case when you are moving it from one point to the other, you can encrypt it so that when you go, you can decrypt it. And also some of them, because they are smaller, you can lose it, it can fall, and you lose it. And when you lose it, your information, the person who can take it can get access to what information that was not meant for that particular person. So it also comes with those disadvantages, which when you are dealing with them, you always have to make sure you consider them. Okay. So I think we have some of the risk here of portable devices. I think I've spoken about them. I've spoken about by them. Okay, so over here we have what physical vulnerability, extremely high risks of loss, theft, and unauthorized physical assets. So I just mentioned it. Then we have the malware vector whereby you can get virus or other things can be transferred to it because you are just moving it from the one place towards the other. Okay, so basically that's what they have for us. So we can just later go through and look at them. Now let's move to we are done with the first two when we talk about the storage and we talk about the remote. Now let's go to what cloud computing. It's also part of the storage because we are looking at how we can the storage. So this goes beyond just the mere computer, but it's all part of it, the computer system where you store stuff. So when we talk about cloud storage, okay, when you talk about cloud storage, so cloud storage is just a model in which digital data is stored on remote service or remote service. That's all, which probably is managed by service providers. So this service typically is located at data center. So they are not yet, it may be different place where you store things there, which you can access anytime. So instead of saving information or files on your local hard drive, that's the hard drive you have on your machine, or copying it into your external hard drive or saving it to your external hard drive or your removable hard drive, you can choose to save it in the cloud. So when we say cloud, it's somewhere, it's not cloud as in cloud in the sky, but there are servers that are somewhere that you decide what to save your files there so that you can access it anytime you want to access it. But you need what? Internet. Either to save it and retrieve it, you need internet. Without internet, you can't save it and you can't retrieve it. So just keep that in mind. Now, cloud systems are built on distributed computing principles. So when we say distributed computing principle, it means the servers are not just at one place or distributed. So we have if you store your file on the cloud, it is not if the center is at Accra, they may have another center to in Kumasi, another place in Togo, another place in Benin, another place somewhere, and your file is duplicated and spread across. That's how it is stored. So it is distributed across. The information is spread across. But when you need the information, it will be retrieved to you. And this helps so that you don't lose what information. In case one particular center have issue, your files are also at another location which you can also what access. So that's the principle of distributed computing principle. I'm sure as you go, you do a particular course in that field, which will expand more for you to understand, especially when you are doing networking. The networking deals in that particular aspect where you talk about the distributed system. So I think you do that later into details. Okay. So as I said, they are sold in different servers and not in a single location. So the reason why they do that to ensure what reliability and what availability, even if one server fails. Okay, so imagine you have information somewhere and they'll tell you that place has caught fire and everything is lost, it's going to become an issue. So it's just that's how distributed computing system works. And that's how cloud storage also works, so that you can always access your file anytime you need to access them. So how do cloud storage works? How do I have a short video on the platform which really explains it? So cloud storage system operates in a combination of hardware, software, and networking principle. So what, as I said, was when you upload your file there, it goes to different, remote servers, and they are stored in multiple locations. Okay. And also the server will go ahead and create a backup of the file so that in case of any issue, the backup can easily be what? Restored. So that users can retrieve their files all the time. As soon as you modify any of your file, it goes through that same process whereby the backup will be updated with what? The updated version of your file in there. So that's it for cloud. Now cloud goes beyond. So when we were there, I think we did OneDrive the last time, and we didn't finish. When you store something on OneDrive, you are storing it on the cloud. Okay. So OneDrive is cloud. Google Drive is also a cloud. There are different ones. So when you decide to store something in the cloud, so even if you are doing websites and you are hosting a website, you are hosting it in the cloud. It's on a server somewhere. Okay. So basically that's the cloud one. So why inside the modern data center? So this one we are just talking about what some of the key features or advantages of what storing things in the cloud, where we have what multiple copies and database are mirrored in this one. So now let's come to different types of what cloud storage. So cloud deployment model. So even though it's a cloud, like how is there any only one format or different? So we have these three main models when we are dealing with what cloud storage. So we have the first one, which is what the public cloud. Okay. So when we talk about the public cloud, we are talking about a third party providing what a space or a server available to the public to use. An example is just like the Google Drive and the OneDrive. It's not owned by you. It's Google product, and you've created an account there, and you are keeping your files there. Okay. So we have the Google Drive, we have the Dropbox, Microsoft Drive, OneDrive that we did the last time. And they are what? More of what? Extremely low when it comes to what? Cost efficiency. So zero maintenance. You just do how they manage their server. It's not your problem. Yours is to just use it. Unless maybe you want to expand your storage. That's where probably you pay to get more space. And most of you too are using iPhone and you also use the iCloud and you upload things there. And so I think they give like 5 gig, right? I don't know the space. They give you some space. When it exhausts, then you have to pay to get more space. Okay. So that one is also what? The public. The Apple one is also a public for people to just use. Okay. Then we have what the private cloud. So the private cloud storage is dedicated to a single organization. It may be hosted on the organization's own infrastructure or by a third party. So that's for the dedicated one. So if a university needs a dedicated GCT, we have a dedicated server, which is very, very expensive. So that's where your results are hosted, your everything about the LMS is hosted, every information is hosted, the school website, everything is there. So it's a private cloud storage and it's for the university. Okay. And organization, but we don't have it on our campus. It is hosted elsewhere. But there are some companies that probably will prefer to host it if they think they have the infrastructure to host it, they can do that. Okay. Banks usually go in for what? The private cloud, because a bank can never host the things on the public. Do you understand? It has to be secured. And also the private ones is usually secured and has maximum what? Security in terms of privacy and data redundancy. Then we have the hybrid one. Okay, you have the hybrid cloud, and the hybrid combine both what? The public and the private what? Cloud environment. So organizations can go in for both, because the private is expensive. The organization can go in for the private, the hybrid, whereby probably if they think they will need 5 terabytes, they think their organization will need 5 terabyte space in cloud. They notice that, let's say, like 5 terabyte space private is costing, let's say, 100,000 cedis. It's too expensive. What they'll do is that they can go in for 3 gig, 3 gig space, which will cost, let's say, 70,000 Ghana cedi. Thereby, they save like 30,000. Do you understand? And they will sign up to the public one, where they are going to use the public one to store data that are not sensitive. Do you understand? So they will make sure the sensitive data goes to the private. Then the data that are not very, very sensitive will go to what? The public one. Thereby they are using what? Both what? The private and the public. And we call it what? Cloud. Cloud, a hybrid what? Cloud. I hope you are following. I hope
Yes,
you are
sir.
following. All right.
Yes, sir.
So when it comes to the cloud storage, we have advantages where is one of the most advantages that you can access the files everywhere you find yourself. You don't need to come to a particular location. Like right now, I have a file in on campus. In case I need it right now, I have to go to campus and go and copy it. But in case it's in the cloud, all that I need is I connect to it and I can just retrieve. That's one of the most advantage of cloud. So we have that one. Then we have what? Accessibility, where you can access everywhere. That's I thought. We have scalability. So in the cloud, you can increase the space when you feel like. You don't need to go and buy hard drive or go and need to expand your infrastructure, because the last time I told you every computer system has its limit. So a PC may have a limit of RAM it can run. You can't go beyond that. Okay. It may also have a limit of storage it can run. But when you're in the cloud, so let's say in case you want to expand your PC capability, sometimes you have to buy other devices and attach to it, bearing the cost. But in the cloud, you don't care. You just go in for what? The service, and the company have to bear that what? That cost. Okay, they have to find a ways to expand, buy all the machines they need, make sure they have 24/7 electricity, no doom so. Because if their system goes off and you are accessing it at that moment, you can't access it. So all those stress is not up to you. So that's where we have what? That one, the scalability. So you can just expand it anywhere. You don't need to what? Buy additional what? Extra hardware part. Then you have the backup and recovery. There'll be a backup for you anytime in case of any issue or you delete something. You can always go and what? Access it. Okay. Then we have what? Cost efficiency too. Okay. Then you can also use it for cloud for what? Collaboration. That's the last time we started with what? The Excel in the cloud, and we did about the Excel and Word for collaboration. So cloud platform allow multiple users to access what? And edit the same data simultaneously, and it proves teamwork and what? Productivity. So that's one portion, one of the advantages. Then when we come to the limitation, okay, the popular limitation is that you need internet. That's the first limitation. Without internet, your files can't access it. So it's one of the limitation of cloud. You always have to make sure you have internet. So if you find yourself in an area where there's no internet, wow, you are good. Then also sometimes issues will come out with what? Security concerns, because it's your files is somewhere. How secure it? I think the last time one of your colleagues brought that raised a question on how secure is the files. So the company will tell you it's secure. They will give you some agreement for you to take. and you will say it's secure, but how 100% are you that it's really secure? So there may be risk. If that company is hacked, your files can also be hacked. So that's one of also the limitations. Okay. As far as they are affected, it affects you. It's just like the war that is happening somewhere is affecting us here, even though we are not involved like that. Okay. So the same thing. If the company that is holding the cloud or having your information is breached, hackers hack their system automatically, you also be compromised. Okay, so that's one of the security concerns. Then we have our data privacy. How sure are you that your data is really, even though they tell you the data is there is a privacy, your data will be shared and other stuff. How sure are you? If they are giving it to someone, how would you know? Because I'm sure some as we are here, we receive SMS from companies that we don't even know how they got our number. We wonder how did they get our number? And I'm sure where we put in our number, I'm sure the people have assured us that there is what data privacy. They are not going to give our number else to someone. But at the end of the day, people end up getting our number and they'll be sending us SMS anytime, any day. You don't know where the data is coming from. You have your data with MTN, Tigo, or Vodafone. I'm sure they have told us that our data is safe, is secure. But how would you know if that data they give it to people, they sell it out to people? Do you understand? So that's another concern when it comes to data privacy when we are dealing with this cloud system. Okay. And also we have what the option, the one we call latency. Latency is what accessing from data servers, and sometimes it may be there may be a delay, especially when you are trying to access a large file. Okay. So just as sometimes we download videos or movies online, you are downloading a movie that is 2 gig. You notice it will take time, even though sometimes your internet is even fast, it takes time because you are accessing it from what? A cloud server. But if the movie is on your machine, you are copying it onto a pen drive, it just goes to external hard drive there, it goes like Usain Bolt. Pen drive sometimes goes slow small, but external hard drive, then it goes. So that's also one of the limitations when we are dealing with what cloud storage. Even though it has so even though most of them have advantages, they also comes with what limitations. I hope you are getting me.
Yes, sir.
Oh, I'm not just talking about this thing. I was just talking without going through the slide. Don't worry. So that's the advantage and limitations. I was just talking about it. Okay, so I think I've already explained this particular aspect of the the presentation. Okay, so let's look at. Sorry, I'm coming. Okay, so after we've gotten through and see the limitations and the rest, now let's look at how. I think my internet went bad. Sorry. Uh, may I know where I left off? Because I noticed it has gone off right now. I didn't know where I got to. May I know where I left off?
So you're about to
I'm
begin
about to
with the
start
file.
the slides.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
okay, good. All right, thank you. All right. So even though we've spoken about everything, now we have to ask ourselves, how does the computer system or how are files stored, data stored on the storage devices we were talking about? Okay, how are they organized? How are the data? Because you have to look at the data organization on storage, and that will help you in terms of what retrieving data. So if the data is not organized properly, retrieving data will be slow. That's one thing. So you have to know the steps or the process or the different types in which the computer system store data on the storage devices. Okay. So we have over here, we have what? The user operating system, which is what the foundation. Then we have a bridge, that's what the file system, that's the local bridge. Then we have the physical data storage. Okay. Then order of chaos. Without the file system, data just is disorganized. So we look at that one. Okay. So when we talk about a file itself, what are we talking about? So we have what? A file system, which um, a file system is a method used to what? Used by any operating system to organize and manage what? Data in storage device. So when we are talking about files, we are talking about the type of files we can have on our machine. So files can be saved in different what formats. So when we look at audio is a file. When you look at let's say um, a Word document is also a file. When we look at let's say MP3, a song is also a file. So all those things are files, and we usually keep them what on our computer system or hard drives. Sometimes it can even be executable files like softwares we can click to run. Okay, so all of them are what files that which what we store on a computer system. Now, when you are saving a file on the computer system, the file system determines how where the file is stored and sometimes how it is renamed. Okay. So you look at where the file is stored, whether it's stored on so the file system does that, then how the file is named and identified. So it usually comes with its own default file naming. Then probably you can rename it. Then also it's also look at how what the file is being accessed or retrieved in case you want to retrieve the data. Then also look at where exactly it is saved and where it is managed. So the file system does all those things. Okay. Now the file system it's in two groups. It creates this, it does this in what? Just creating files or what? Creating directories. So on our system, everything we do or we see on our system is either a file that is lying down or something that is in a directory or a folder. That's what we usually call it, a folder or a directory. Okay. Now, any file has its own what? Attributes. Okay. Sometimes it has to be with what? The size, the type of file, whether it is executable, whether it is MP4 for video, whether it is MP3 for audio, whether it's SL, all of them has its own attributes. And I know most of you know how to check the attributes of what? A file. So let's say if I have let me try to see if I can get one file. Let me go to downloads. Let's say this file. Usually when you right click and you go to properties, okay. So my mouse is okay. Okay. So we have what attributes? We have what the location, the size, the created date, modified. So all those things are attributes, and every file has those kind of attributes. Some even has more. So when you come to details, we have more, but all may not show. Okay. When we come to audio too may have its own attributes. That's the same when you go to a folder. A folder will may so have its one. So there are some attributes or properties that shows for a particular file, but it will not show in another file because there are what different types of what files. Okay. Then when we come to directory, okay. So directory is just we creating folders, and we do that in usually to organize files. So we have probably one directory, one folder. Within the folder, you create another folder. Within another folder, you also create what? Another folder. Just as you create what? Another folder. And I'm sure we've been doing that on our systems on regular basis. We do something like this, folder one, folder two, so that when we want to retrieve or look for a particular file, we know where to go to look on the file. So for our end, that's what we do. But from the computer side or the system side, how does the computer or the system retrieve the files for us? So when it comes to file organization, this computer has three ways in which, or three types in which files are what? Retrieved. Okay. So we have what? The sequential organization. And we have what? The index organization. Then we have what? The last one is what? Direct access organization. So when we talk about the sequential organization, it means the data is stored in a continuous sequence. So you store data in a continuous sequence and records are arranged one after the other in that specific order. Okay. So this method is simple and what much efficient for applications where data is accessed in sequential manner. So when you go to like a bank where they want to access your transactions, maybe some of your money is missing or there's an issue with your transaction, they can go back and look at sequentially. Okay, this day you did this day you did this, and it goes what in the sequential manner. So that's one way in which files are being organized on our system, on our hard drive or the system, okay, in a sequential manner. And it also helps when sometimes you are copying large file. So if you are putting a large file on the storage, it is done in using the sequential manner because you know that you are copying a file, and the file probably the file is 1 terabyte or let's say 5 gig. So it copies the files in sequentially for you. Okay, so that's it. Then we have what the index organization. So the index organization is used to keep track of what location data. So it uses the index to keep track of location data. So it usually does something like a table, and it's usually used when it comes to what dealing with what databases, whereby everything is in a table form. You want to index a file, you go to that point and you pick it. Okay, so we have the index where everything is formed like in a table form where you can keep track of everything. Then we have the direct access organization, where in the direct organization, data is accessed directly using specific address or key. And this method is the method that is used by usually most of the modern storage are using the direct access organization, whereby you can always go and pick what you want to. So it says that the modern standard, the direct and index method is absolutely critical for high speed. And so that's what is used. The index and the majority uses what? The direct access. The index too is also there. But the sequential one, sometimes it means that when a computer uses the sequential one, and because most of the time we don't use our system sequentially. We click here, go and access another file somewhere, go and access another file somewhere. So the sequential method usually makes the machine slow. So the modern, as I said, the modern method or standard is what? The index and what? The direct what? Access organization. Okay. Now, even though we have this organization, okay, files are stored using a particular what? Allocation strategies. So we have what? Particular access strategies. And those strategies are in this format. We have the continuous allocations, but continuous allocation. We have the link allocations, then we have of index allocations. So when we talk about the continuous allocation, then it means the files are stored in consecutive block or storage. So we have the block where one block, a file is stored, then the next file is stored in another block, and it's stored in another block, and it's stored in another block, it's stored in another block. Now, one thing about the disadvantage about this is that when the files are stored in this format, sometimes the space gets exhausted very fast, the contiguous one. The space gets exhausted very fast because it stores here, then the next one, it goes to another block, sometimes leaving space. It doesn't care whether that block there is free space there or there is no free space. As far as that block has been allocated and the file is stored there, whether that store has been exhausted, the next file is stored in another block. And when it happens that way, there may be free empty spaces, thereby depleting what your space on your storage. So you notice that sometimes those who are into IT, sometimes you can optimize your hard drive. You try to optimize the hard drive, then you notice that maybe your hard drive is telling you that you have like 10 gig space. As soon as you optimize the hard drive, you notice that you now have like 50 gig space. You ask yourself, where did the extra space came from? Do you understand? It's because of this way of what strategies the files use. And this one, you can't read that, you can't direct it. That's how the system is structured. So once in a while, you can what? So let's say my drive C. I want to go back to my drive C. Okay. When I go back to my drive C and I right click and I go on properties, I think some of you have seen this before or have worked with this before. You can see I have used space of what 357 gig and I have free space of 128 gig. By natural sense, because I always keep on copying things and I put it in different folder, different folder, different folder. The system sometimes may use the continuous allocations in storing the things on the hard drive. So what people do is they can come to tools once in a while, then they click on what? Optimize. And that's what the defragmentation. When you click on optimize, sometimes, like the long time I did some, you see the system will show the blocks. These blocks, it will show, and it show you where the files are. You see that you're working on the files. And when it does that, it puts all the files together, taking off the empty spaces out, and thereby giving you what extra space for your machine. How many of you have tried this thing before? How many of you have tried it before? Okay, we have some IT gurus in the class. Okay, Kofi said he has tried it before. And that is why, because files are stored using the continuous allocation. Okay, all right. Then we have what the link allocation. So the link allocation, a file, the file is stored in blocks, but they are linked together, thereby closing the gap. So let's say a file is stored here, but they link together. So they are not in a straight line, just as the continuous one is. So one is linked to the other, then the other is linked to the other, and the other is linked to the other. So they are scattered around. But when you need a file, the pointer will point to that particular one, and you can just get that particular file you wanted. Then we have the index allocation, where a separate index block is used to store and address all blocks belonging to the file. I think I've posted a video on this, which is much expanded with video. So I think on the book, in the book, you can always go and watch that one to get a clear explanation about these file allocation strategies. Okay. Now, in modern era, even though we have these file strategies, files or the files in storage are in different formats. Like when we talk about the storage devices, okay. So we can have what the FAT32 FAT. Usually the pen drive goes with all the FAT32. We have the FAT, which is what the file, it is for file allocated format, and that's how a storage device is sometimes um, um, the system is what formatted or structured in before you start using it. And usually the FAT deals with what the pen drive. Usually pen drives, you can't format a hard drive FAT32 unless the hard drive size is small. So the FAT32 deals with a smaller storage hard drive. Okay, if you have a smaller storage drives, So if you have a pen drive right now, and the pen drive is like 500 gig, I have a 1 terabyte pen drive. You can't format it for 32 to not even work. Because it will tell you the storage is bigger and it doesn't support fat format. Okay. So over here we have what? The fat allocation table is one of the earliest file system used in personal computer. It is simple and widely compatible with almost every devices. So that's why USB is usually in the FAT32 or FAT format. And when you format it in FAT, you can use it in any device. You can connect it to a TV to work. You can connect it to your sound system to work. But there are some system, if you format your pen drive in NTFS, it will not work again. Okay. And FAT format too has a storage, that has a storage capacity, and it also has a limitation when it comes to the size of a file you can copy on it. I'm talking about not copying files in format piece. I'm talking about one file. Like maybe you have a one big file, which is like 8 gig. You can't copy a one big file, which is 8 gig, onto a storage device, which is in a FAT format. It will not go. Are we there? It will not go. So if you format your pen drive, let's say in FAT, and you decide to copy an operating system, I'm not talking about the operating system file, but maybe the operating system in a zip file or in an image file, one file, maybe 8 point something gig, and you are copying it onto the FAT drive, it will not go. It will never go. Unless maybe you extract it and copy the individual files. Okay. But if you want to take huger files, then the NTFS is for you. So the NTFS stands for New Technology File System. And it is one also widely used on Windows operating systems. So most Windows system uses what? The NTFS, which we already know. If I go through, let's say my drive C, I'm trying to show you so that those who probably don't know, let me go to properties. Let me see. Okay, so this is the properties of drive C. And you can see your file system is what? NTFS. Okay, so Windows usually uses the NTFS what? The file system. Okay, so we have the NTFS file system here. But if it's pen drive, some pen drives, that is what? We have the FAT32 or the FAT. Okay. Now, when we come to the EXT, that's the extended file system, and that one is for Unix or Linux. Okay, so we have another operating system called Unix or Linux. I'm sure if you do OS itself, I don't know, but in case you do OS itself, you may do advanced operating system, which we'll talk about the Linux, Ubuntu, and those kind of operating systems. So Ubuntu, if you've not heard of Ubuntu, we have a operating system called Ubuntu. We have Linux, we have Unix, and they all run on a particular architecture. We have different types, but we have Fedora, they run the same architecture, and they using the EXT file system. Okay, they don't use the NTFS, they use the EXT. So if you are installing operating system or Unix on a machine, you have to format the storage into what? EXT before you can install the operating system on it. Then we have the APFS, that's the Apple file, that's what it explains itself. So that one for iOS devices, whether you're using iMac or you're using MacBook or MacBook Air or anything, or Mac Air or something, all of them uses what? This APFS system. So those of you probably have been formatting operating system will probably have seen some of this file system because it will be there for you to do it before you can format what? The machine. Okay. So basically that's it for the file systems. Okay. So in summary, file system and data organization forms for the foundation of effective data management. So when you are So make sure you ensure that when you are dealing with file storage, you have to consider which one you are going for, whether you want to go in for the cloud or you have the portable. I know we have the portable, but sometimes depending on what you are doing, sometimes the cloud will be much better than storing it just just on the portable. Even if you have the portable, you should make sure you can also store it in the cloud so that in case you have any issue or your file gets corrupted or anything, you know that there's a cloud you can always rely on. Also, there are certain things you also have to note is that when you are using a cloud, make sure if it's a public cloud you are using and you are putting a very sensitive information there, you should be careful of what you put there because of some of the disadvantages or limitations we've spoken about. Either you try and you can encrypt that file and put it there, you have your key, So in case even it is breached or someone access it, the person cannot open until you enter your password or your key to that particular file. So just keep that in mind. If you are using public and you are putting sensitive there, try and probably encrypt it or lock it or put password on it before putting it there. But if it's a normal or regular um, files, then you can go ahead and do that. Okay. So basically, this ends our session for today. This ends our session for today. I don't know if anyone have any question concerning the slide so that I can go back and probably explain it much further. Any questions so far? Any question? Okay. So if there's no question, then it's one thing. Either it's two options, whether the class nobody understood what was taught or everything that was taught have been understood. So which one? Which one are we picking? Everything has been understood or nothing was understood. Okay,
Everything has been understood.
okay. So Kofi, Richmond, your hand is up. If you have a question for me.
Yes, yes. Please, I want to take you back to a part where the hard disk is open and their paths are being. Yes, please. Yes, this please. Yes. Yeah. You explained it to my understanding, but when I look at the arrow direction, I realize that the controller board is directing to the platter.
Yeah. I saw it, but
Yeah. So
yeah, I saw it. So I think the one I have in the on the LMS, I've done the correction on the LMS. I
okay,
should have just changed it here.
okay, sir.
So let me see. I'm coming. Uh, my students are very serious, so I like it. So I think you cannot see the LMS, right?
Yes, sir.
So I think I did a correction
Yes,
here. I did
yes.
a correction here. Where I think this one I wanted to do it, but I realized the time was there. So thanks for bringing that point. So those of you who saw this picture, so that's why I got it. I really understand that I have a well explained diagram on the LMS. So I think over here it has been explained very well on the LMS where the arrow is really pointing the actual part. So we have the first one, which is just the minimal part. I think this one has gone to what expanded it more to see more of the part. So you can just zoom in on your phone and you can see the parts very clear. Okay. Yeah. So thanks very much for drawing my attention to it. Okay.
Okay, sir. Yes,
Uh,
sir. Then another question. Yeah, concerning the cloud system. Sir, let me find out this from you. You see, when phones were coming into the system, they were coming with this memory card. Now,
okay.
now you can see that nowadays the phones that are coming to the system comes with that small memory card, and now it's
Yeah.
like they are pushing us to the cloud system, where
Mm-hmm.
they want us to um, use the Google Drive, uh, the iCloud, and those things. So,
Mm-hmm.
my question is, uh, don't you see that the system now they are moving us to is quite expensive as compared to the earlier one where for memory card you can go for memory card, buy and put it into your phone. And don't you think that space where they are taking us to is quite expensive for us in terms of data storage?
Okay, so it looks okay. It depends on the angle you are looking at it. Okay, so you may see it as it's expensive because okay. So let me just start from the reason. I think most of us got to know that the people who created virus are the same people who created antivirus, right? Because
Yes.
they noticed that when they created the operating system and people buy the machine, they don't get any problem to bring the machine again. And it's less like a one sale, one point of sale, and you don't make any money again. And when someone buys a computer, someone can use the computer for years without even before even replacing it. So if you are into that business, you have to find ways and means in which you can keep on making what extra money in the form of service. And that's how that's why all those things came to be. Because in the initial stage, they did a phone for you. There was nothing like storage, external storage. All that you need is you buy your memory card, you put it there, you store your stuffs, and you are good to go. But I think they realized that they can make more cash. So more cash is now, I will not do that to you. I will not make sure I give you external place to store your machine, your things on your phone. Than for you to store it on your phone, which I know very soon it will be full, and you don't know what to delete, and you come and ask me to help you to give you a space. So in terms of business wise, they are okay. But in terms of the end user, you may be having issue with it. Now, the end user too, we have end user too who is also okay because we have end user who probably will say, if I don't have a cloud storage, because I have important files on my phone, if I want to pass through circuit and someone stole the phone, the person can die. Probably his or her life is on the phone. So for someone, he will say, then if I can pay small and I can have a copy of my things in the cloud, it's better than. Do you understand? So depending on where you are coming from, you may see it as a disadvantage, but someone also sees it as an advantage, and vice versa. Do you get it? So in one way or the other, the storage itself, the cloud storage itself, it's it's a way for them to make more money, which I understand. But in one way or the other, it's another way for us to also, it also helps us in a particular way. But the cloud storage, they give us free. They give us free for a while. Then, if you think you need more storage, you buy for it. You buy. If you don't want to go for it, then you have to make sure. I think you can also clone your files and store on your machine, and that's what we have been doing most of the time. I back my things. I can connect my phone, copy all my files. I have a folder on my machine. I keep it there. Then I delete everything on the phone. I start all over again because I don't feel comfortable storing certain things in the cloud. So that's the way I'm because I don't have the chance to put memory card there. As you said, now they even have the small memory card, 1 terabyte and the rest, which you can buy it and use it. But they don't have it unless you decide to go and use Android phone. As for the 100, they still have it for you, but the iPhones are the one who are trying to do away with it. Okay, so it's an advantage. That's why we spoke about advantage and disadvantage. So when you look at it, the disadvantage may affect you more than the advantage. But for another person to will prefer the advantage than what the disadvantage. I hope you're okay with that.
Yes, sir.
So that's it. And I'm sure as an IT guy, you also thinking about when you start programming and you start creating services, you will notice that some of these things you have to put in those measures. Otherwise, you can develop a software for someone, and when you give the software to that person, and no, you not get money again. No. So you have to find ways and means to create certain things whereby at least if every month I can get 2 city from all your clients, you get it. Then you are good to go. So that's it. All right. Any other question? Any other question?
Yes, sir. Hello, sir.
Yes, boss.
Please, when you were distinguishing the HDD from the SDD,
Okay.
SSD, sorry,
Yeah.
you made mention that with the HDD, whenever you hear an unusual sound from the disk, that
Mm-hmm.
shows that the disk is getting damaged and you need to make backup.
Yes, please.
And I want to know with the SSD, is there any sign of damage
So
that you need to
okay, so
consider?
SSD can also get damaged. But the one funny thing about SSD is when it's getting damaged, you don't know. Because I have SSD which was working fine. All of a sudden it wasn't working again. It's different from the AD. That's what the AGD is. Sometimes you can hear there will be signs. You can hear that the machine, the thing is making noise. Or sometimes when you connect it, it doesn't come and all those stuff. So when you see those things, or even when the files open, the external hard drive, you connect it and it opens, you notice that it responds very, very slow. So you can start advising yourself. But with the solid state, you not see anything. But it's rare for SSD to get damaged because you can stand on top of a 4-story building, throw the SSD onto the floor. You can go and pick it and still use it. It will not do anything. But you can't try that with HDD. You can't try. Even first just one floor, right? You can't try. Not talking about 4 floor. Okay. So that's it for the SSD. SSD you can't know. So that one if you are using it, then you have to be very, very extra with. Maybe there may be signs that I'm not aware. Maybe once in a while, maybe you can notice that maybe when you connect it, sometimes it responds, it doesn't come fast and the rest. But I haven't experienced that. The one I used, it was working, all of a sudden it wasn't working. And I also have this external case which I uses, which really helps me. I don't know the last time I showed it to you guys. I have an external case which I have my hard drives in it, which always checks the health of the hard drive. Okay. So it always checks. So when you on it, it checks I wish I could. I don't know how to show you. Let me see. Let me see. I just wish I can have a way to show it to you guys through video. Let me see something. Okay, so let me on my camera and see if it will work. Let me stop sharing. Okay. Okay, so you can see there are certain lights that is showing on top of it, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So the light indicates when you look at the hard drive, it has this capacity. It shows you this capacity you have, whether it's 5 TB, 2 TB. Then another one shows the temperature in which the hard drive is functioning at that moment. Then another show you the runtime of the hard drive. So it shows you the number of hours in which the hard drive has run from the time it was manufactured. Okay. Then it also shows you the hard drive health. Okay, I was having a hard drive, it was showing me 80%. So as soon as I saw 80%, I noticed that I need to back up all the things. Okay. And then for this one, it's showing me 100%, which is okay. So that's one of the things you can use. And also, I think there are certain softwares which you can sometimes also run to check once in a while to check the health of what your hard drive. Those days, I think there was one software called the PC Doctor or something. Those days, there was one software called PC Doctor, which we used to run on our machine. I don't know if it's still there. It can scan the hard drive, check the strength, compress it, remove, optimize the hard drive, then to give you the health, tell you whether your hard drive is damaging the health condition. So if it starts giving you red flags, then you have to know that you have a shorter span with the hard drive, then you can probably try and do backups and know that you use it. So That's one thing. And also, one thing I also do is when I have a hard drive which I think is getting damaged, what I do is I usually use it as external. And if I have it in the machine, I'll remove it and use it as external and get a new hard drive to run in the machine. Okay, because if you remove it as external, then you expand the lifespan. It would rather keep long because the external, you don't use it often. But if it's on your machine, you keep on using it every day that you're on the machine, and you can end up damaging it. It will damage faster compared to using it as external. So that's one of the things I also do with it. Big one. So that's to answer your question. So if you're using SSD, I don't think there's any warning you can see like the HDD, but you just have to be vigilant and observe how it is because you'll be using with it. As soon as you see any changes, then you can just look for those software to scan it and see if there is any issue. If there's no issue, we are good to go.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Any other question? Okay, so I think if there's no further question, I think we can end. Yes, sir.
There's a question in the chat.
Oh, really? Okay, then let me check. Sorry. So, how does hybrid cloud balance cost and security? Okay, so the question is, how does hybrid cloud balance cost performance and security? Can anybody answer? Can anybody answer from the? Okay, so I think I made this. I think I posted a video on the elements which really explained it very much. I wish I could play that video, but most of you don't go and watch the video. So the video spoke about comparing private, public, and hybrid to cloud. So what the explanation they gave was they try to represent public cloud as a form of a bus, like a bus that is traveling to, let's say, Kumasi, VIP bus. It's a public bus. Okay, everybody can sit in it, and you guys can go. So you end up paying cheap. It's cheap for you, but you don't have your privacy. Okay, you don't control what is in the car. You are just a passenger, and you go. Then the private, they use private as your own car, which servicing, you do the servicing. When the tire is low, you have to go and fix it. You have to drive. So that one is expensive. You have your privacy. You don't share the car with anyone. You are traveling to Kumasi, but you end up buying more fuel. You buy fuel in terms of using what a public bus. Do you understand? So that becomes the private. And they used hybrid. They decided to use hybrid. I'm trying to use the explanation. Maybe the person asking the question will know how they describe hybrid just as you renting a car, like let's say picking a boat. Okay, picking a boat or renting a car. So with that one, you are just, even though the car is not yours because you didn't buy the car, for that moment you are getting access, or you rented a car, so you are driving the car as if it's yours, but the car is not yours. So you are falling between what the public and what the hybrid. Is you rented a car. If you like, you can pick someone on the road. If you pick someone, then it means you decided to bring a public in it because you rented a car for the day. Okay, and that's how they explain the hybrid. I think if you watch the video, though, you understand it very well. So when we come to the question your colleague asked, I decided to make, I think I made a statement that, let's say the public is free. Do you understand? Public is free. You don't pay for it. If you want to pay to expand your space, it's not that expensive. If it's iCloud, I think you pay some dollars. You can get huge space for a month. That's for the public. The private is very, very expensive. Very, very expensive. You can pay for a private storage, let's say a dedicated server, you can pay as much as sometimes $10,000 for a year. It's a lot of money. That's what I'm trying to let you know. It's a lot of money. I wish I could go to one website. Let me see. Let me go to HostGator. Let me see if I can get something there for you guys to look at it. Okay, so so I wanted to see hosting. Where is the menu? Please, I'm coming. Let me check here. I think because all right, so the menu, I can't see the menu. The menu is missing. I wanted us to see the hosting. Please give me a few minutes. Let me check. I think it's better I explain it with you so that you understand it very well. Okay, so let me share. Okay, so hosting. Okay, so this is a dedicated hosting. Okay, now look at a dedicated hosting price. You can customize your own price, but look at this one. This one has 346 a month because it's dedicated, and you can get okay, this one is having what, 3 terabytes. So this is 3 terabytes, and this one is what? So this is 3 terabyte storage. This one is 2 terabytes. This one is 1 terabyte storage, and you are paying for 1 terabyte storage. You are paying $144 every month. So a year can give you much. Okay. Now, if it's a company, the company may go in for a customized space. Okay, this space may not be enough because 3 terabytes may not be enough for probably a big institution. So the institution will go for a customized, and the customized will give you a different code. Now, this is a public. Let me go to public hosting. So when you come to this one, is a public hosting, and you can say this one is giving you what, $3 a month. There are two different things because this one is public, and we have shared hosting. The shared hosting is just like the hybrid. So when we come to shared hosting, this one is shared hosting VPS. This one's are shared hosting, and you notice that their prices are in between the public one and what, the dedicated. I hope you are following. So for a private is expensive. A public, let's assume the public is free. The public cloud storage is free. The private is expensive. And I made an example that the private is, let's assume the private is 10,000 for a month. Okay. Now, what the company can do is they don't want to waste 10,000 because not every information that they want to store are very sensitive. Do you understand? So the company can say, okay, let's go in for the hybrid, whereby instead of you go paying 10,000 a month, let's pay 5,000 for a month, so that we use that one to store sensitive informations. Then other information that we think that are not sensitive, we can rather store it in the public one. Because the purpose of using the cloud storage is usually to store data, whereby in case you lose certain information, you can always go and retrieve it. That's the main purpose why people use the cloud storage system. So the company will end up saving what? Cost if they decided to go the hybrid instead of going fully private. Okay, so that is for what? The cost. But for the security also is all hybrid, because the security wise, maybe if information that you may keep that is probably not sensitive that you are keeping in the public, maybe for someone, when that person gets that particular information, that will also be a gold mine for that particular information. But to you, it is what? Something you don't need like that. Do you get it? So the security wise it also becomes what? It becomes in between, just as the public and the private owned works like. So that's basically how the hybrid is. So the hybrid is just in between. You get you save a money. So cost wise, you save some money because you are not going for fully private where you are paying huge sums of money. You may go in for half of it where you pay half. Then your other information will go to what? The public one where probably you may pay just a little. If you add it to the other one, it's still you save a lot compared to going for a fully private cloud storage. So Gilbert, are you okay?
Yes, please.
All right. So I think we passed our time. Well, you guys didn't alert me. So I think let's leave for now. Next week is Easter, right? So we are not meeting next week. We are not meeting. There won't be class for next week. So so let's call them. So we're meeting next 2 weeks for the continuation. But we'll be meeting tomorrow at 11. So just keep in mind, we're meeting tomorrow at 11 to continue with the digital study skills. Okay.
Okay, sir.
All right. So bye for now. We'll meet again. Okay. Bye bye.